My name is Jasmin Warnock. I am an artist and printmaker working out of Atlanta, Georgia. My mom was an artist, so I was always doing art growing up. Took art classes in school, just always had the want to be doing art. I never quite had a medium that I was focused on. And when I entered into college, I wanted to do something that was creative, but not necessarily art itself. I wanted to do something a little bit more practical. So I went in doing marketing with a minor in art. Originally, I wanted to do graphic design to kind of supplement the marketing, but they didn't offer graphic design as a minor. So I just stuck with the studio art. I took a couple of art classes in college around COVID time. So it was still kind of hybrid at home, just drawing in my apartment kind of thing. And it wasn't until I think my junior year of college that I took a printmaking class at GSU with Jamal Barber, where I learned what printmaking was and that it was kind of something that I felt like I could channel my artistic ability into in a way that would actually push forward a narrative and a story that I wanted to tell. Printmaking has such a powerful history of that vessel of accessibility. It's been used a lot for political posters and political propaganda and getting messaging out to people. And so I liked that it was accessible. I could have an original piece of art, but I could have an edition of 20. And if I have a big edition, I don't have to sell it for as much. And I can make sure that my friends and my peers can have access to my art because I want them to have access to my art. I make work that is very closely tied to my identity. Everything is very personal, very vulnerable. I think my willingness to try to share that with other people helps differentiate me from others. I think it's very emotional. I also think it in itself creates a sense of community when people can look at it and relate to it. My favorite part of the printmaking process is carving. You work in a binary most of the time. Relief carving is black and white. Everything you carve out is white. Everything you leave is black. And so it's once you can have an image, and it's not just an image, it's not just a drawing, it's not just a painting, but it's a carving that you had to kind of reverse the image or you just had to think about it in a way that's different. That really just grabbed my attention. The carving was the best part of the process for me. And it was something new and it was something fun and exciting. The most satisfying thing is when you have that carving done and then you finally ink it up and you could see all the work that you've put into it. Because honestly, you'll be carving something and you'll be like, I have no idea how this is going to look. And I've put so much time and energy into this and I just hope it looks okay. And then the satisfaction you get from just inking up the carving and seeing all that work you've put in, all those individual lines, was just really satisfying to me. I'm a very detail-oriented person. I love detailed work and I love diving into that and just, it's very meditative for me. And so to be able to have that meditative practice and then see the results of that practice, it was really nice. I don't like using multiple blocks to make one print. I think that's the one where I'm I'd rather use alternative methods to add color into a piece, which I think it might be a little controversial because I like reductive printmaking. And reductive printmaking is essentially you have one block and then you would ink it up with that base color and then print all of the additions you're gonna make with that base color. And then you carve out anything you wanna keep in that base color. And then you ink it up again and print it on top. And so it's a layering process of adding color. And it's called reductive, and it's also called a suicide block because once you've carved it, you can never make that print again, which is very risky in the sense of printmaking. It's like you want to have that block forever and you want to have the ability to print it forever. I have been trying to get better at putting figures in my work. I love nature and I love landscapes and I love houses, but I recognize that sometimes the figures bring in an element of interest into the work. I've done a lot of like self-portraits. I've done a lot of like bust up kind of things, but the full body is still like very intimidating to me. The last print I did have like me and my sister sleeping with hands and shoulders and everything else involved. And I think that was the longest part that I took in the print because I was just so intimidated and like I slip up one carve and the whole print is done kind of thing. And that is not the case. That's never really the case. So I think all of my pieces are very like emotional and they have kind of like a dark element of like, this was a hard time in my life, but it also is like a beautiful time for there to be growth and for there to be change in a way that doesn't necessarily have to be bad. A lot of my work has been centered around those different moments that were pivotal in my life and represent like that balance of like light and darkness. And I think it's cool that prints are in like white and black. It all kind of lends itself together. I'm a young adult in a world that is like very crazy, especially right now with everything going on. And so I can feel very helpless. I can feel very confused. And even like within myself personally, I can feel like, oh, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want or what I want to do. And so I think creating pieces that reflect on my past and kind of being able to like process those memories and be like, oh, well, this was not normal, or like this did impact me in a way that I don't think I realized before, helps in like the process of knowing myself better and feeling more comfortable in my own skin and more comfortable in the space that I take up in the world. I am very community oriented as an artist. I always want to make sure that the work is accessible, especially to people that do connect with it. I never want to feel like I'm just pricing work super high just to make money off of people that can afford the work. I never want to be that type of artist. I want to make sure that I always have work for my people, work that is accessible for the people that do connect with it. And if I do have a couple pieces that are a little bit bigger and like a little bit pricier, then I still want to make sure that I still have an element of it that the people that still want it can have it. I'm part of like an organizing group with my friends. It's like a Black liberation group. And we've been doing a lot of different programming to help our communities in Atlanta. And so I've been able to, especially like from Artful and stuff, like those types of sales helped me put money into a community mutual aid market we had. And we were able to raise a ton of food and clothing that we've been able to redistribute to unhoused populations in Atlanta. And so when I make the money that is kind of a little bit more on the heavier side of things, I like want to feel good about having it and also like using that resource to help people that don't have access to it. I think from myself, from my work, I want to gain a level of understanding. It is very much based in my past, and I want to understand how my past influences my present and my future, how I can reflect on these memories and then navigate maybe like the issues or the lessons that I've learned from these particular times in my life. What I want other people to get out of my work is a sense of community, a sense of belonging, and a sense of understanding of like, not everything is always great, but there is a level of like hope and perseverance that comes within like navigating these harsh times. I'm Jasmin Warnock. I'm an Atlanta-based artist and printmaker, and this is my voice, and this is my life.